Today, we're talking about how to charge absolutely ridiculous prices. If you want to learn how to make more money from every single client, this is going to be one of the best videos you watch on that topic. Because the truth is, most people struggle with pricing, quoting, and closing deals. And I believe that's because they don't have a systematic way of converting their value into a price. Now, I've sold hundreds of different AI services, and I'm sharing with you the framework that I developed to literally 20x my price. That's 20. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the whole thing, the entire 4-step blueprint that I use to close bigger deals without being awkward. All right, now before I go into specific techniques, it's really important to understand why people get stuck undercharging. And it turns out there's 4 major blockers that cause the lowball offer problem. Here they are in order: the trust blocker, the value blocker, the pitch blocker, and the closing blocker. But here's the secret: 3 of these are sales techniques. First one though, the trust blocker, that's the foundation. If you don't solve this one thing, nothing else matters. So let's start with the trust blocker. The question that we're trying to answer is, how do I get my clients to pay me high prices? To solve that, I want to ask you a different question. Why are people willing to pay $500,000 for a house? They're willing to pay that much because they believe they will actually get the house at the end. It's right there in front of them. They can walk through it. They can touch the walls. There's not much need to trust the real estate agent because they already trust the product. Now, for services, it's a lot harder to see the product, or it's much easier to fake the results. It's invisible. So all the trust has to be in you, the individual, the business. That's why this part is so important. So how do you solve this trust blocker issue? The way I solved it is I didn't start with a high ticket offer. I actually started with a low ticket offer. So here's the key. You introduce a super valuable yet super low cost product that will solve an immediate problem. Maybe it's $100 a month service that provides $1,000 a month worth of value. And I want to emphasize, you're not setting a low price standard. You're setting a high value return on investment, because I put in one thing, I got 10 times out. That's what you're setting in your customer's mind. So there's a simple pattern. Whenever I pay this person $1, I get 10 back. And by the way, that's how you build trust. You set an expectation and you meet it. You set an expectation again, you meet it again. And on and on. Now, if you want a video of all different types of products that we've sold for $100 or around that much, put a comment and I might make a video on it. Okay, we've now got our customers to trust us. Let's move on to the second biggest blocker, the value blocker. The question here is, how do I figure out what to charge? And the formula for this is what I refer to as the law of value. True value comes from the impact that your solution has. It's the distance between their current state and the future state that you provide. That distance is the value. The bigger the distance, the more valuable your thing is. A super simple example. Let's say your solution saves them 10 hours a week and their hourly is about $50. If you calculate that, that comes out to $26,000 worth of value per year that you brought them. So now when you anchor your conversation around this $26,000, your $5,000 fee doesn't seem that high. What you just did was price anchoring. So when you anchor your conversation around that one price, it doesn't seem nearly that high, does it? That's how you figure out what your product is worth. First, identify what value does your product bring to your customer and try to put that into a number. This can be hours saved, this can be money made, etc. We can now move on to the third step, or the third blocker, which is the pitch blocker. This is, you're on the sales call and the question becomes, how do I present this price without scaring them off? The answer is price anchoring. Here's the psychology behind it. So our brains tend to compare whether something is a deal based on the first price that we heard for that thing. So if I hear that a house in the neighborhood costs $1 million, now that $500,000 house actually seems like a steal, or because I'm comparing it against the first number I heard. And that's why it's so important before you present your price, always make sure that you're anchoring it correct. So to use the example from the previous point, our solution is valued at $26,000. Okay, so then the way you could present that is, right now, not having the solution is costing you $26,000 per year. Right now, we could probably build it out for about $5 to $6 grand. Does that sound fair? Now, what was previously a $6,000 out-of-pocket expense has become I'm actually getting a $15,000 or almost $20,000 discount on this thing. So that's how you approach the number. Now the number has been presented. How do you actually get them to say yes? Which takes us to step number 4, which is the closing blocker. You've built trust, you've communicated the value, you've anchored the price. Question is, how do I get them to say yes? And this is an age-old technique in sales, which is called the confidence silence. This is where most people screw up. They state their price, and then they immediately start justifying because they're nervous. Don't do that. Say your price clearly and then stop talking. Let them respond first. That silence is you're actually giving them time to process that number, see what they can make happen, and whether it's a good deal or not. You don't want them to perceive your nervousness as a bad thing. Adding anything at this point will not help the conversation. And I would even take it a step further, which is if you presented it the way in, okay, this will probably cost about $5 to $6 grand. Only word I typically tend to use after it is, does that sound fair? Because that opens it up to that's a question that they have to answer by either yes or no. It can be awkward if you just stay quiet and they ask what's the next step. But if you just ask, it's going to be about this much, is that fair? Then the question stops becoming, is that expensive? Is it fair? Is what I'm providing worth this amount of money? And assuming that you follow the law of value, then your price should be well below the amount of value you're providing. Just let them respond. And then you can start tackling objections if they have them. But by using these 4 techniques, it has yet to fail me compared to everything else that I've done. So to recap, step 1, the trust blocker. People will rarely buy really expensive things off of people they don't know for a product that they can't see. So the first thing you want to do is build trust. We do that by having a low ticket offer so that I can set an expectation, meet that expectation, so that high return on investment standard. Step 2 is solving the value blocker by actually identifying how much is my solution worth, how much value am I providing to these clients. Step 3 is the pitch blocker. This is where I want to anchor the price that I have compared to the value that I bring, or how much money they're going to be losing out if they don't implement this solution. If I have a $5,000 thing and my thing is saving them $25,000, you start off by saying, so this solution, if you don't implement it, will cost about $25,000 this year. We can solve it for around $5 to $6 grand, which ties in nicely to step 4, which is the closing blocker. The second you set the price, say sounds fair, and then stop talking. Let them respond, let them process. That's everything I've got, as simple as I can make it. There's obviously a lot more that goes into this, but this should give you a strong framework on how to approach sales whenever you're discussing high ticket solutions with somebody. As always, I'm trying to make it easier for you to build an AI agency. That's my whole mission with this channel. If you guys like this style, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.